From the Capitol to the White House, everything that happens in this town impacts America. Get the latest intel from agendas to issues and world events that affect your world. The Daily Report starts now.
Coming up on America's Daily Report, former special counsel Robert Mueller testified before Congress today in a pair of tense hearings about the nearly 450-page report that investigated Russian collusion. Mueller was flustered by lawmakers throughout his testimony. We'll discuss his performance. Plus, President Donald Trump sets off an early morning firestorm of tweets attacking the 11th hour decision to allow an attorney for Mueller to sit beside him at today's hearings. We'll explain. And a member of the squad, Ilhan Omar, says that it's white men that Americans should be scared of because she says white men are actually the ones causing most of the deaths in the United States. We'll have that explosive interview. Hello, and thanks for joining us on America's Daily Report. I'm Christina Aguayo in Denver, Colorado. Our top story today, a tense hearing on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle grilling former special counsel Robert Mueller about his 22-month investigation into Russian collusion.
Well, I'm reading from your report. Mifsud told Papadopoulos tells the diplomat tells the FBI opens the investigation July 31st, 2016, and here we are 3 years later, July of 2019, the country's been put through this, and the central figure who launches it all lies to us, and you guys don't hunt him down and interview him again, and you don't charge him with a crime. Now here's the good news. The president was falsely accused of conspiracy. The FBI does a 10-month investigation, and James Comey, when we deposed him a year ago, told us at that point they had nothing. You do a 22-month investigation. At the end of that 22 months, you find no conspiracy. And what's the Democrats want to do? They want to keep investigating. They want to keep going. Maybe a better course of action is to figure out how the false accusation started. Maybe it's to go back and actually figure out why Joseph Mifsud was lying to the FBI.
That was Republican Representative Jim Jordan out of Ohio tearing into Mueller on the origins of the investigation into President Donald Trump and the allegations that he colluded with Russia. Representative Jordan was talking about a man named Joseph Mifsud, who is the person that started the entire investigation into then candidate Donald Trump. Jordan sounding off on the question of why Mifsud was never charged with a crime for lying to the FBI.
In 2016, the FBI did something they probably haven't done before. They spied on 2 American citizens associated with a presidential campaign, George Papadopoulos and Carter Page. With Carter Page, they went to the FISA court. They used the now famous dossier as part of the reason they were able to get the warrant and spy on Carter Page for a better part of a year. With Mr. Papadopoulos, they didn't go to the court. They used human sources. In one of these meetings, Mr. Papadopoulos is talking to a foreign diplomat, and he tells the diplomat, Russians have dirt on Clinton. That diplomat then contacts the FBI, and the FBI opens an investigation based on that fact. You point this out on page 1 of the report. What I'm wondering is, who told Papadopoulos? How'd he find out?
I can't get into the evidentiary.
Yes, you can, because you wrote about it. You gave us the answer. Page 192 of the report, you tell us who told him. Joseph Mifsud. Joseph Mifsud's a guy who told Papadopoulos, the mysterious professor who lives in Rome and London, teaches in 2 different universities. This is the guy who told Papadopoulos. He's the guy who starts it all. And when the FBI interviews him, he lies 3 times, and yet you don't charge him with a crime.
Jordan continues to talk about how prosecutors charged Michael Flynn, a former national security advisor, and Paul Manafort, former campaign advisor to President Donald Trump, for making false statements. And earlier this morning, President Donald Trump shooting out a firestorm of tweets about the hearings today, not happy about Mueller having to help during his testimony. The president tweeted out that it was never agreed that Robert Mueller could use one of his many Democrat, never Trumper lawyers to sit next to him and help him with his answers. He goes on to say that this is the greatest witch hunt in U.S. history by far. In another tweet, the president said, so Democrats and others can illegally fabricate a crime, try pinning it on a very innocent president, and when he fights back against this illegal and treasonous attack on our country, they call it obstruction. Wrong. Why didn't Robert Mueller investigate the investigators? Something Texas Representative Louis Gohmert blasted Mueller on, saying that Mueller hired people to work on the investigation who hated President Trump.
And if somebody knows They did not conspire with anybody from Russia to affect the election. And they see the big Justice Department with people that hate that person coming after them. And then a special counsel appointed who hires dozen or more people that hate that person. And he knows he's innocent. He's not corruptly acting in order to see that justice is done. What he's doing is not obstructing justice. He is pursuing justice. And the fact that you ran it out 2 years means you perpetuated injustice.
Mueller was given the opportunity to answer Gomish's questions, but Mueller declined, simply stating, "I take your question." And Representative John Ratcliffe, who is a former prosecutor himself, tore into Mueller as well, saying that Mueller violated Justice Department principles by writing in his report, then repeating in his public statement that the report did not exonerate President Trump.
Can you give me an example other than Donald Trump where the Justice Department determined that an investigated person was not exonerated because their innocence was not conclusively determined?
I cannot, but this is a unique situation.
Okay, well, you can't. Time is short. I've got 5 minutes. Let's just leave it at you can't find it because I'll tell you why. It doesn't exist. The special counsel's job, nowhere does it say that you were to conclusively determine Donald Trump's innocence or that the special counsel report should determine whether or not to exonerate him. It's not in any of the documents. It's not in your appointment order. It's not in the special counsel regulations. It's not in the OLC opinions. It's not in the Justice Manual, and it's not in the principles of federal prosecution. Nowhere do those words appear together because respectfully, Director, it was not the special counsel's job to conclusively determine Donald Trump's innocence or to exonerate him, because the bedrock principle of our justice system is a presumption of innocence. It exists for everyone. Everyone is entitled to it, including sitting presidents.
In the opening minutes of the hearing, Chairman Gerald Nadler asked Mueller if he totally exonerated the president, to which Mueller replied no. Mueller referred back to the report repeatedly throughout his testimony, failing to give much more than one-word answers to lawmakers. He frequently asked questions to be repeated and declined to read portions of his report out loud when asked to do so by the Democrats. After the first round of the hearings, President Trump tweeted this: "I would like to thank the Democrats for holding this morning's hearing. Now, after 3 hours, Robert Mueller has to subject himself to #ShiftySchiff, an embarrassment to our country." Okay, and joining us now live to break it all down is the host of Whiskey Politics, Dave Sussman. Thank you, Dave, so much for joining us.
Thanks, Christina. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so what we've heard so far is from the first of the two hearings, this one on the House Judiciary Committee. What did you think about the hearings? You can comment on both of them if you'd like.
Well, I thought it was a complete farce. It was a waste of time. Even according to NBC's tracker, Mueller had deflected or declined to answer questions over 155 times. That's not a hearing. That's just a circus. And even the magazine, The Liberal Nation, that people know, The Nation, they said that it was comically anticlimactic. The conclusion that although, in their words, the 2016 Trump campaign did a lot of shady, underhanded things, none of them technically amounted to criminal conspiracy or collusion with the Russian government. Yet these guys on the dais here, your Schiffs and Nadlers and all of them, they have a narrative, and for them, this was about getting out that narrative just one more time so that the low information voters out there still believe that there was some collusion. Obviously, there wasn't. But that's all that amounted to today, just a circus.
Okay, well, today Mueller was reluctant to talk about quite a few subjects like the Steele dossier and the start of the FBI investigation. Why do you think that is?
Well, he couldn't talk about it because it wasn't in his purview, but I don't understand that. Look, I'm not a lawyer, but if the whole thing stemmed from the Steele dossier, which was financed by the Clinton campaign, that was provided by Russian operatives, that should have been the cornerstone of the entire thing. But Mueller's Clinton acolytes, the folks that were working for Mueller, who actually wrote this and pieced this thing together, some of them even attended Clinton's election night party at the Javits Center back in 2016. They are the ones who wrote the Mueller report. It's just under Mueller's name. As we saw today, sadly, obviously Mueller wasn't engaged very closely on this thing. Unfortunately, he's past his prime. So, but even with them writing this thing, it was clear with their biases that they couldn't manage to pin any of this on Trump. So they left it ambivalent. And obviously, when you do that with a biased media, the media is going to run with it and continue their narrative.
Okay, I want you to listen to a response from Donald Trump Jr. when an America's Voice News contributor, Tudor Dixon, who's in Washington, D.C. for the Turning Point Teen Summit, she asked him his thoughts on the testimony. Take a listen to this.
Don, can we get your opinion on Mueller's testimony?
Seemed like a major fail for the Democrats. I don't know how someone can credibly say they don't understand where it started when he didn't know what Fusion GPS was. The whole thing's a disaster for the Democrats. I think it was a major fail.
What do you think? Was it a major fail? Do you agree with Don Jr.?
Yeah, I mean, where was the Steele dossier? Where was the FBI spying on Carter Page and trying to entrap Papadopoulos? This Mustine guy that they brought up, he couldn't talk about any of this. So, this is again, it's a political circus. Adam Schiff made a fool out of himself today. I mean, the man looked unhinged, and with his prepared statements, continuing down this path of conspiracy and narrative and calling Trump and his entire universe surrounding him, and essentially indirectly his supporters, unpatriotic and treasonous, I don't think is going to work out too well for them. The media are going to try and spin this, turn it as much as they can right now, but this was not a good day for the American Democratic Party.
Okay, great. Dave Sussman, thank you so much. And if you'd like to see more of Dave Sussman, he is the host of Whiskey Politics that airs daily at 3:30 Eastern. Okay, explosive video surfacing of Representative Ilhan Omar saying that the United States of America should be scared of white men and that the U.S. should create policies to profile and fight the white man. Take a listen to this.
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
This interview was conducted when Omar was running for Congress and plays right into the allegations launched by President Trump against her and the other 3 members of Congress known as the Squad. President Trump tweeted earlier this week that the Squad is a very racist group of troublemakers who are young, inexperienced, and not very smart. He goes on to say that they are very bad for the country. The Squad have accused many lawmakers of being racist, including Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi and, of course, President Donald Trump himself. An ethics complaint has now been filed by the conservative group Judicial Watch over allegations that the Congresswoman may have married her biological brother to commit immigration fraud. Okay, well, the 2019 Turning Point Teen Summit being held in Washington, D.C. today. America's Voice News contributor Tudor Dixon is in D.C. to bring us all the latest from the summit, and we'll have that after the break. The 2019 Turning Point Team Summit is going down in Washington, D.C. today, day 3 of 4. Here with more from the summit is Jessica Rivera. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you, Christina. Well, the event has been exciting for everyone involved, and our very own Tudor Dixon got the chance to talk with conservative commentator and political activist Candace Owens on Blexit and minorities. Take a listen.
Tell us the future of Blexit. Where is it going, and where can we find information?
You can head to blexitfoundation.org. Our next city that we're going to do is Chicago on September 15th, but we have not started promoting it just yet. We're really excited about the movement. We're seeing so many minorities that are finally engaging in the political discussion the right way and are getting sick and tired of being used as tools for the left to divide the country. So it's a tremendous opportunity for conservatives to sort of change the dialogue in this country.
We saw a lot of minorities here today.
Yes, it's been really exciting. I mean, every conference that we have, more and more minorities, definitely seeing Hispanic engagement. I think that the left overplayed their hand in terms of what they were doing, talking about the wall and ultimately harming minorities first and foremost with the idea of open borders. So it's an opportunity for us right now to get in there.
Thank you for what you do. Our audience is following you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks.
Tudor was also able to talk with Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch, which is a conservative activist group that investigates claims of misconduct by government officials. He specifically spoke to us about the investigations concerning Ilhan Omar's ethics and the Clinton email scandal. Here he is.
Well, we know what's been in the public domain, which is, as you point out, it's surprising no one's followed up on this. It's kind of been this low-grade fever of a scandal here in Washington, D.C., and she's only been in office 6 or 7 months. But it's a well past time for it to be fully investigated, because the publicly available information is more than enough for a criminal investigation as to what went on, and certainly the House ethics process, to the degree it's going to work at all, they need to clear this up. And that's why we filed the ethics complaint just yesterday on it.
So once you file that complaint, what happens and how quickly do those things get processed?
Oh, we'll get buried unless there's political pressure to move forward on it.
And why isn't there political pressure? Because we have all of this discussion going on about these 4 women, and here's something that really is substantial that can be put out there, but nobody seems to be talking about it.
Because Ilhan Omar is a leftist, and the media is protecting her because the media is run by the left. And so it's going to be up to groups like Judicial Watch to push hard on this. And in terms of the ethics process on the Hill, Republicans are afraid of it because they're afraid that they're going to be targeted. But so you have to have an independent group like Judicial Watch do this basic work of asking for an investigation. We don't know if she did anything wrong, per se, but there's evidence she did, and we can't ignore it.
So that's what you're doing on a regular basis, is investigating these things that really aren't coming out in the media. Is there anything else going on that our viewers need to know about?
Well, we've investigated and uncovered the Clinton email scandal, and we've gotten more information on that, showing that the Obama State Department and the Obama White House were involved in covering it up. And, of course, we have all these deep state lawsuits with the illegal targeting of President Trump, showing, for instance, the Obama State Department was also front and center in terms of targeting Trump by illegally pushing this dossier.
And we'll be sure to keep you updated here on America's Daily Report. Until then, Christina, back to you.
All right, Jessica, thank you so very much. And joining us now live from D.C. is Tudor Dixon. So good to see you, Tudor.
Good to see you too.
Okay, so today's experience at the summit, did it mirror yesterday's, the excitement, the enthusiasm? And how many teens do you think were there today?
Oh, we had over 1,000 teens at the Turning Point event. They were all really hyped up because, you know, we had so many great speakers. Of course, Don Jr., Kimberly Guilfoyle. And what were they talking about? But a lot of what's going on here at the Capitol today.
That's right. You know, actually, you asked a question about the Mueller testimony to Donald Trump Jr. And what did he say to you?
Yeah, well, of course, he was saying what a joke it is, and how can he not know what Fusion GPS is, and how is Mueller trying to say that he doesn't understand what was going on? And he has a very valid point. I mean, if you listen to Mueller's testimony, it was really rather a pathetic showing. I mean, we were all kind of surprised by his demeanor. He was very confused. He was mumbling. He was kind of sitting back in his chair. It's not what we expect from someone who has been named the special counsel and has been investigating this for 2 years.
Okay, let's flip back to the Turning Point Summit. Who were some of the other speakers you heard from, and how did the crowd react to them?
You know, they had Jim Jordan, they had Matt Gaetz yesterday. We've had a bunch of people from Congress. It's been interesting. There's been a lot of changes with what's going on with Mueller's testimony. We've had people in and out, so the schedule has been in constant flux, which is really great because they've been able to get people in and out, and they've been able to go with the flow of what's happening in the news, which is what these kids want. These kids, these students, they're so involved in politics, and they want to know what's happening here at the Capitol. And that's been weaving in and out of this summit the entire week. And they've been so engaged in what they've heard from these speakers. These congressmen have given up their time to come because they understand this is the future of our country. These are our future voters. And a lot of these kids are turning 18 this year. They're committing to go out there in 2020. This is Trump's base. This is who he needs. And the family and the administration, they are all in it to win it with these students.
Okay, well, you had the opportunity to speak directly with conservative activist Candace Owens and also Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. What was your major takeaways from the two interviews you've done?
You know, Candace has a lot going on. She's working on the Blexit movement. She was telling us about events that she has coming up in Chicago. She said she hasn't announced it officially yet. She was announcing it with us. We were really happy to be able to share that she's going to be in Chicago. Chicago is a tough city for anybody in the conservative world. Walkaway was kicked out of there a few weeks ago. I think we should absolutely follow what Candace is doing with Blexit and where she's going. We're going to hear more from Charlie this afternoon. As soon as we have that interview and have some information, we'll be able to bring that to our viewers, and we're really excited about that.
Absolutely, and we'll definitely have that full interview here on tomorrow's show. Okay, thank you so much, Tudor. Have fun out there and don't work too hard. All right, talk about drive-through service. One young woman in Oregon gets nabbed for pouring alcohol directly into the mouth of a Taco Bell employee. We'll explain after the break. Around the nation now, in Oregon, a woman is seen going through the drive-thru of a Taco Bell and pouring alcohol directly into the mouth of an employee. Only thing is, Eliana Aguilar, who you see on your screen, did the deed in front of a police officer.
And she sees the car in front of her. The driver puts a bottle of alcohol out of the car window and starts pouring it into the mouth of the Taco Bell employee through the drive-thru window. And obviously that catches the sergeant's attention, and so as soon as the car pulls away from Taco Bell, she pulls that driver over, and she got arrested for DUI.
She was arrested for DUI, and now her story has gone viral. Many are calling it the weirdest DUI ever. In Mississippi, the man accused of killing a student at Ole Miss has been found and arrested. 21-year-old Ali Costillo was shot 8 times and found near a lake in Mississippi about 90 miles from the college campus. 2 days later, police found 22-year-old Brandon Thiesfeld in Memphis at a gas station. According to local media, Thiesfeld's clothes appeared to have blood on them. In Texas now, a heartwarming moment caught in a snapshot when a little boy stopped to salute soldiers. 6-year-old Jace Vega, who is in 1st grade, was at the airport with his mother when she turned around to find him saluting sailors as they quickly walked by. Vega's mother quickly snapped a picture and said she has asked him why he was saluting, and he said, "Because they fight for our country." The photo has since gone viral. Around the world now, in Mexico, a couple was killed after failing to stop at a police checkpoint. According to local officials, 52-year-old Paul Nielsen and his partner, 43-year-old Janet Vasquez, and their 12-year-old son, Kevin, were driving from Acapulco to a beach resort. When the couple failed to stop at a police checkpoint, they were then ordered out of their car. When the couple wouldn't exit the car, they were shot execution style in front of their son. The young boy was also shot but not killed. The shooters then took off in the family's car. In the Strait of Hormuz, U.S. officials say a second Iranian drone is believed to have been downed by a United States warship. An official said sailors and Marines aboard the USS Boxer assault ship witnessed one drone destroyed last week and another drone disappear from radar, which they believe it's because it was destroyed as well. Both drones were taken down by a Marine anti-drone jamming device that is strapped to the deck of the ship. Okay, well, Forever 21 is getting some backlash over a new item of clothing they're putting out. Jessica, what is this all about?
Well, Christina, with everything being so political these days, Forever 21 is now going to be selling these fake news shorts. Take a look at them. As you can see, fake news is written all over them, and for some reason, it has sparked a debate on Twitter.
I love them. I think I saw the t-shirt too, so I wonder who's behind this, fashion statement.
I don't know why people are really surprised, because Forever 21, if we have a picture of one of their bags, everybody knows that they have John 3:16 at the bottom.
Yes.
So, and there have been publicly stated that they're missionaries and they are people of faith. So,
well, we'll see. You might have brought another firestorm.
Maybe.
Okay, thank you so much for watching America's Daily Report.
I'm Jessica Rivera.
And I'm Christina Awayo. It's your voice, your opinion, your news.
We'll see you back here tomorrow.